Good evening, everyone. Being a member of ACS and starting UVA 2 years ago has shaped my understanding of what it means to be part of the progressive legal community. This ACS community inspires each other to find ways to work within the law and to change the law, to end the culture of domination that requires us to choose power over love. I'm inspired by these people who have taken up bell hooks' call to choose love and learn to recognize the difference without attaching difference to privilege in order to progress towards a more just society. That is one of the reasons it's such an honor for me to present this year's ACS Progressive Champion Award to Witness to Innocence, represented here tonight by its Executive Director, Kirk Bloodsworth. Begun in 2003 as a project of the Moratorium Campaign, Witness to Innocence spun off into an independent organization in 2005, becoming the first and only organization led by and composed of exonerated death row inmates. You can applaud for that. Witness to Innocence's core mission is to empower exonerated death row survivors and end the tortuous, racist, and fundamentally unjust use of death as a punishment, to find justice without violence. Witness to Innocence provides an essential network of support for exonerated survivors, most of whom receive no compensation or access to support or reentry services when released. The organization is focused on reforming state and federal laws to ensure fair compensation for exonerated death row survivors. Its Dreams Project is the first and only social service and financial assistance program devoted exclusively to exonerated death row survivors in the United States. Where governments and society at large have failed them, Witness to Innocence has boldly, compassionately, and effectively stepped up to provide critical financial, social, and advocacy support for exonerated death row survivors. In addition, by centering the voice of people who have been directly impacted by this irredeemable system of punishment, Witness to Innocence has shifted public opinion on the death penalty as a part of a vibrant community of death penalty abolitionists. Members of Witness to Innocence have given testimony before state legislatures, met with government officials, hosted workshops with law enforcement and prosecutors, and engaged in thousands of public speaking engagements. Over the nearly 20 years of Witness to Innocence's existence, executions, death sentences, and capital prosecutions have all declined steadily, and a slew of states have abolished the death penalty. Throughout the years, ACS chapters have hosted programming events featuring Witness to Innocence speakers, sharing their experiences. Beginning at the ACS Student Convention in 2021, Witness to Innocence has conducted 8 accuracy and fairness workshops in connection with student chapters. These workshops bring together exonerated death row survivors and law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and judges in facilitated workshops about the causes of wrongful convictions and the potential strategies for enhancing conviction integrity and reducing wrongful convictions in the future. ACS is honored to play a small part in supporting and promoting this incredible work. As impressive as Witness to Innocence is, so too is its executive director, Kirk Bloodsworth. Kirk was 22 years old when he was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death. After 8 years, 10 months, and 19 days in prison, including 2 years on death row, he was released and subsequently pardoned based on DNA, as you heard earlier tonight, evidence, making him the first US death row prisoner to be exonerated by DNA. And I did notice your tie has DNA on it, so I'm pointing that out for everyone else to see. Our state took almost 9 years of Kirk's life from him. In return, Kirk has found the hope to show up, to dedicate the rest of his life to giving back to our country, to work to make our broken justice system a more just system by fighting for other people who have been wrongfully convicted and to end the death penalty. That is a lot of love. to fight to change a system that violated his most basic rights. Kirk's advocacy helped lead to the passage of the Innocence Protection Act, which, among other things, established, as you heard again earlier tonight, the Kirk Bloodsworth post-conviction DNA testing program that helps states defray the cost of testing DNA evidence after conviction. According to the National Institute of Justice, as of 2019, the program has resulted in 51 exonerations. Yeah. Along with Witness to Innocence, Kirk has been at the forefront of state abolition efforts across the country, including in Maryland, the state that wrongfully convicted and sentenced him to death. Maryland abolished the death penalty in 2013. Now, there's so much more that I could say about the work of Witness to Innocence and the inspiration that Kirk's hope gives me. But now, in the spirit of Witness to Innocence's mission, I am honored to hand off the mic so you all can hear the voice of this inspirational person who will speak on behalf of this incredible organization. And so, in recognition of its extraordinary efforts to ensure that the law is a force to improve the lives of all people, I am thrilled to present the 2022 ACS Progressive Champion Award to Witness to Innocence, represented tonight by Kirk Bloodsworth.
Don't let me forget that. Is there any lawyers in the room? I've got a story about a lawyer that you shouldn't be. Now, I want you all to picture a prison visiting room with a glass partition, and your attorney comes through the archway. It's about 10 foot high and about 8 foot wide. And he comes and sits, and we have to talk through this glass partition, you know. And he sits with his back to a brick wall. And the first thing out of his mouth, he says, "Kirk, you're in a lot of trouble." I thought that was very astute of him right away. He said, "But don't worry, I know my way around the criminal justice system. I know my way around the courtroom. We're going to find our way out of here together." And we talked about the case for about 20 minutes, one of only 3 visits I ever saw this guy. And right before he gets ready to leave, 20 minutes later, he reiterated what he said in the beginning. He said, "Kirk, I know my way around the courtroom. We're going to find our way out here together." Put his hand on the glass, said goodbye, picked up his briefcase and turned around and ran right in the wall. He was right. I was in a lot of trouble. Now, I want to thank ACS for giving us this award. And as a matter of fact, Senator Feingold and I were old pals. We were talking about it when I first came in. We've known each other for 20-some years, and just a fine advocate for us, and has put an abolition bill in every year that he was in office to abolish the death penalty. When Jamie was up here, and I am so happy I didn't have to follow him, but he and I are very tight too. I knew Tommy very well, and I spoke at Amherst with him, and he was a wonderful young man. And we worked together to abolish the death penalty. I helped kill the thing that almost killed me. Witness to Innocence is an organization, and as Max had said, is by and for death row exonerees and their family members. It was founded by Sister Helen Prejean and Ray Crone of Arizona, who's also an exoneree and has been in the organization since its inception. 187 plus I believe is the final count. I can't keep up, Russ. Have been found innocent on death row in the United States. Think about that. In a prison population of death row that's almost 3,000 deep, almost 300,000 people in prison in the United States. I'm sorry, that number is like higher than that. It's just amazing that these men and women can suffer. And we have these exonerees with us. We call them death row survivors. In a system of adversarial justice, you cannot be adversarial to the truth. You cannot submit a thing, who wins what, who puts on the best show wins the day, and sends a poor soul to his death or her death. I've sat right there and watched as people been led down the hallway. Luckily for me, they exonerated me, and the first thing Maryland did was execute somebody else when they let me go in 1993. I've been out now over 29 years, and I never found a better place in the world to be and to be involved in this organization, Witness to Innocence. They have people like Ray Crone, as I had said, Sujat Graham from California that got out in 1972. Ron Kiney, just one right after the other. Damon Thibodeau from Louisiana, who was a false confession case, and unfortunately has passed away from COVID. All these men and women that I talk to every day. Sabrina Butler was accused of killing her newborn child. And, just a matter of mistaking how to give a child CPR versus an adult. And she almost lost her life. Gary Drinker from Alabama, Randall Padgett from Alabama, all these places. I could just go on and on and on. Look on the website. Lawyer Johnson, who just passed away. Harold Wilson, who just passed away a couple years ago, since I've been the executive director. Witness to Innocence was founded on the idea that, if the governments of our world could not take care of exonerees, we could do our best to try to do that. I'm deeply honored, Mr. Feingold, so honored to accept this award on behalf of Witness to Innocence. Now, I'm going to end this because I know you all been sitting there for a while, and I tried to eat my steak and I couldn't turn around, and I understand. But remember this. When you go through life, every day of your life, you stand up for what's right. You stand up for the person that can't speak for themselves. You stand up for your friends and your family and people you don't even know. You stand up like my mother said, boys, stand up. Don't let them do this to you. You stand up. You keep your head up. Don't give up. And when it gets rough, you get tough. And one thing's for sure, when you do stand up, turn around and don't run into that wall.